It's a 5-pointer in 2011. The graph illustrates how many people in Great Britain used a mobile phone to access the internet. The graph shows that around 70% of the population is between the ages of 16 and 24, which is by far the largest demographic. According to the graph, over 60% of the population falls into the 25 to 34-year age bracket, which is clearly the second biggest. According to the graph, 10% of the population is over 65 years old, which is the least percentage of the population. Finally, a downward tendency may be seen. Measured in kilowatt-hour/year and cost/year. This bar chart shows how much energy and money household appliances use and how much they cost to run. More than any other appliance, the spa, pump and heater, consumes the most energy and costs around $185 per year to run. After that, there's a pool pump, which uses around 450 kilowatt-hour of energy annually and costs about $125. At 100 kilowatt-hour/year, an electric blanket costs only $5/year to run. When it comes to energy consumption vs cost, a spa uses the most, while an electric blanket comes out on top as the most cost-effective option. The given bar graph gives data on the number of people living in urban areas in different continents of the world. The data is given for 1950, 2007 and projected for the year 2030. Initially in 1950, on an average 29%, people of the world lived in the urban area. In this year, the highest percentage of the population lived in urban areas were in North America, which was 64%. In Africa and Asia, these percentages were lowest, 15 and 17% respectively. Half of the European people lived in an urban area, while this percentage was 42% in Latin America. After 57 years in 2007, the percentage of urban area population reached 49% in the world. It is projected that 60% of the world population would live in urban areas in the year 2030. Port Moresby in Papua New Guinea's climate is depicted on the mixed graphic. According to the graph, the temperature maintains between 25 and 28 degrees throughout the year. However, from January to March, the precipitation tends to be higher than from April to August. July is the month with the least amount of rain, with just 40 millimeters. Finally, the graph provides comprehensive data on the city of Port Moresby's climate throughout the year. Photograph of a country road in the woods with a building on the left side taken in the autumn. Forested areas are covered in yellow leaves, with occasional ferns and green grass. In the distance, the road disappears from view. On this beautiful day, the rusted and unpainted structure on the left looks abandoned. It seems to be a rural road in the United States during late September or early October, when the leaves are beginning to change color. The unemployment rates in the United States and Japan are shown in percentage terms in this graph from 2005 to 2011. In March 2005, Japan had an unemployment rate of 2.5%, whereas the United States had a rate of 7%. In March 2008, Japan's unemployment rate rose to 4.3%, while the US unemployment rate fell to 5.5%. The unemployment rate in Japan and the United States was 5% in March 2011. From 2005 to 2011, Japan's unemployment rate rose, while the US unemployment rate fell. This bar graph compares New Zealand's and Australia's 2010 energy usage, both expressed as a percentage. Both Australia and New Zealand relied heavily on gasoline and oil as their primary source of energy, with Australia utilising 80% and New Zealand using 70%. In addition, Australia and New Zealand were the nations with the lowest use of coal, at around 2% in Australia's case and about 8% in New Zealand's. Petrol and oil were utilised the most, while coal was used the least in both nations on average. The data on the graph pertains to food in the future. The graph shows that by 2035, when looking at world wealth, the biggest number, 90, will be discovered. In 2005, the least number is roughly 45 people. According to the graph, we can clearly observe that in 2035, the highest number of EU citizens will be about 65. There were roughly 30 in 2005, when the lowest number was recorded. To summarize, this graph depicts data on global food consumption in nations like Japan, India, and China. A food chain is depicted visually in this graph. Bees and plants are clearly shown in the graph as the initial phase. Fish devour bees, according to a graph that shows how things will go from here. According to the graph, the following phase is bears devouring the fish, which is clearly seen. The skeleton of a bear can clearly be seen on the graph, as the final phase. In the graph, it is evident that the cycle repeats itself at the beginning of the cycle. As a result, this graph depicts a food chain. The graph above shows the ratings of 6 Pixar films. Ratatouille is the highest rated film, with a score of 96. Finding Nemo and The Incredibles were the 2 lowest rated films. Wall-E is the next critically acclaimed film. Toy Story 3 and Toy Story both received 92 points. All of Pixar's films received positive reviews, with an average score of 92.33. Overall, Toy Story 3 and Toy Story, as well as Finding Nemo and The Incredibles, received the same rating. It appears to be a depiction of a temple or mausoleum from the distant past. The courtyard in the middle of the picture has a level surface and a stone building in the center. There are decaying stone temples surrounded by golden afternoon sun and brown and white stones. In general, it appears to be a pleasant location in South America. Ontario's manufacturing employment, in 000s, and the Canadian dollar exchange rate, in $US, from 1981 to 2013 are shown in this line graph. During the year 2002, employment in Ontario's manufacturing sector peaked at over 110,000 people, while the Canadian dollar appreciated to a low of approximately 0.6540. It was at its lowest point in 2013 with 780,000 people employed in Ontario's manufacturing sector. It reached at its maximum point in 2011 when the Canadian dollar exchange rate was approximately 1.010. Ontario manufacturing employment peaked in 2002 and dipped to its lowest in 2013, with the latter being the worst year. Canadian dollar exchange rates were at their highest and lowest in 2011 and 2002, respectively. The image shows a bar graph that accounts of households with access to the internet in the UK from 2006 to 2009, in percentages. In 2009, 70% of households in the UK had an internet connection. This was up from 58% in 2006, 61% in 2007 and 65% in 2008. It shows a steady growth of 12% in the period of 3 years. Overall, the highest is for the year 2009 and the lowest is for the year 2006. Each of the 5 pencils in the image symbolizes a distinct region of the United States. As a symbol of New Jersey, the first pencil had a length of 50.680 inches. The second pencil, which has a length of 46.750 millimeters, might be considered a Chicago. With a total length of 38.520, the third pencil is considered to be South Carolina and the fourth pencil is considered to be Michigan. The shortest pencil is the one for Virginia, which is 18.950 inches long. As a general rule, we might infer that various lengths reflect different hectares in different parts of the country. The internet population is depicted graphically in this figure. According to the graph, China has the highest number, which is around 175 people. The graph shows that the United States has the second highest number, at about 165. It is plain to observe that Mexico and the Netherlands have the fewest amount, which is approximately 15. As a result, China's internet population dwarfs that of the United States. More people in the United States are online than in Mexico or the Netherlands. There are two sorts of structures shown, one for a hot environment and another for a cold temperature. The steeply pitched roof of the cool climate building collects sunlight while storing heat and reducing heat loss. During the day, the windows of the warm climate building are closed and covered, and at night, the windows are opened to allow for ventilation so that the stored heat may be expelled. When it comes to heat storage, one form of building is better than the other since it absorbs less heat. This is a comparison of the number of people who saw a film at a cinema in each country. At 24.5 million, India has the biggest number of cinemagoers in the world. Action was the most popular genre in India, while horror was the least popular, at 2.5 million. Despite this, Japan is the country with the lowest number of cinemagoers, at 17.8 million. At 7.1 million viewers, action was the most popular genre, while horror was the least popular, at 2.2 million. In terms of total number of moviegoers, India has the largest number while Japan has the lowest. The scene depicted is a seascape. We can clearly see a ship in the middle of the ocean in the photo. After that, there are a variety of marine life forms to be found, including dolphins, tropical fish, whales, and sharks. The whale is the picture's largest animal. At the bottom of the photo, we can spot some submerged vegetation. Finally, the image offers information on the precise sizes of marine life. There are 2016 Detroit dawn and sunset times depicted in the graph. According to the graph, the highest number of sunsets can be observed on the 29th of June at roughly 1912, which is around sunset. According to the graph, the second largest number is 1414 on the 19th of June, which is the second longest day of the year. The graph shows that on June the 9th, at roughly 4:48 am, the dawn timing is the shortest of any day in the year. The graph, in conclusion, is quite helpful. This process diagram depicts hydrological cycle. Through transpiration process, water from trees goes up in the air to form a cloud, while through evaporation process, water from oceans, rivers, lakes and various water body goes up in the air to form a cloud. Condensed clouds bring forth precipitation on Earth. Though surface runoff rainwater goes to the ocean, river, lakes and various water bodies, while through underground runoff rainwater recharge aquifers. Though capillary action, trees draw underground water. Hydrological cycle indicates that total volume of water remains same in the system,